we're about to approach the 20-year anniversary of Read a Book.
It is definitely, to figure out exactly what it is going to take a little math, because like we're about 18 years away from it being on BET, but it existed like a year before that. So I need to go back to my MySpace page.
Like 2006, right?
Yeah, 2006 is when it was born, and when it was created, and it was a blessing, and it is completely. I talked. Me and my man Mellow D, Darnley Hodge, Imagination Inc. Between Read a Book and a song I did with him called Cool With You, where he did all the promotion and marketing for, and it reached like college radio charts. So like I did that song in collaboration with him because we had bands that were touring, like did stuff together. And then I had Read a Book. So in a year, both of those songs came out. And it gave me a false sense of security on how easy it would be to be a full-time artist, which was necessary at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I have not reached, I make more money now than I did then, but I hadn't reached the popularity that I did in that moment. But I needed that moment to be like, hey, this is where you could be. Also, I needed that moment to be like, don't chase this. Like I know people who are trying to go viral. I went viral without trying, and now I'm over the viral thing, and I think that makes me a better artist. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
because that was viral. So
YouTube started like a year and a half before Read a Book went viral on YouTube. So I'm like OG viral. You know what I'm saying? Like
before algorithms was really doing their thing.
Yeah, before the algorithms rhythming, I was I was hitting people. And,
I like that.
And so, but I also like I didn't have a roadmap. I spent way too much time in the basement of our audio video production studio reading the comments on Read a Book. Like now, 20 years later, I know the comment section is a cesspool. The comment section was a new thing when I was in the middle of the comment section. I was there would be like 14-year-old white kids in Kansas, like sending me racist messages based off Read a Book, and I was responding it way too much. It mattered way too much.
You were tapped in.
Because I was tapped in and it was a new thing. I was like, oh, these are people I need to respond to. And now that it's 2025, we're like, oh, this is the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Respond to the comment section at your own leisure, at your own risk. But in 2006, 2008, 2009, I'm like, hey, how does this work? You know what I'm saying? And I also got offered a bunch of opportunities to basically do Read a Book Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. And I turned them down because I didn't want to force it. Like, I don't mind, as I was bragging earlier, I brag about coming from Black culture. I brag about coming from PG County, D.C. via South Carolina. I love Black culture. I tease and make fun of Black culture because I'm used to being around Black people and making Black jokes around Black people about Black stuff. But we all know we love Black people. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
When Read a Book went viral, I had cousins call me from Ohio, like, yo, this is amazing, right? And they would be like, but what about what the white people think? And I'm like, what do you mean, what about what the white people think? When does that? But then I was like, oh no, I'm not in their space.
Yeah.
I'm not in their space. And I was like, oh, like, I don't mind my art being taken. Like, I can't control what happens when the art leaves me, right? But I don't want to I don't want my cultural mark be that I spend all my time mocking and making fun of Black culture. I wanted to actually make Black culture. You know what I'm saying? And so I am open and up for opportunities to be sarcastic and make parodies about Black culture, but I'm not like, people sit down and all day, every day, how do I make fun of Black people? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm like, no, that's not the legacy I wanted to leave. Like I said, my comfortability lets me do it when I feel comfortable doing it, but now I'm more aware of it, and I'm like, I still very adamantly make sure that I don't care what white people think, but I do care what Black people experience who have to deal with white people. And so I keep that in mind as I release what I release. But if I find myself being like, oh, don't do that, because white people, I'm like, oh, Bomani, like do some push-ups while saying Denmark Vesey, like, you know what I'm saying, 20 times. Like, get that out your system. Like, we're not making moves based on how they react. But I understand that I have the privilege of growing up in PG County. And, you know, it was the perfect culmination of everything I was doing. I was an independent artist trying to make it with my band that we thought had a chance to make it. As my part-time job, I was working in an after-school program with teenagers. And so I've always thought, like, I wanted to be an artist, and I want to be the artist that I am now. I am a teaching artist, and I do it full time. I don't have any other jobs. It's how I pay my bills. And that's where I wanted to be 20 years ago. And Read a Book was the beginning of me trying to figure that out. But it became a whole thing on its own. And now, like, I get paid, I get flown out to teach teachers how to use hip hop in the classroom. And it's completely unrelated to Read a Book. Like, a lot of people think that, like, and when you think about it, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't go to a principal's office and, like, let me come teach your kids, watch Read a Book. Like, that's not how this has worked. I was working to get into the classroom at the same time I was doing Read a Book, and that hit on its own. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of teachers who don't know that I'm Mr. Read a Book until I've been working with them for 3 or 4 years. And they're like, oh my God. The group that brings me out to Missouri, they didn't know I was Mr. Read a Book until a parent Googled me and sent it to the Board of Education. It was like, is this the guy you're coming to perform for my kids? And they, without talking to me, said, well, he's an adult and he can do things in his adult time that he wants. When he comes to talk to the kids, that's not what he does.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank y'all. Like, that's the most logical freaking answer. Thank you.
And it was 20 years ago. How about that?
My boy pointed out, like, at this stage in my life, if you Google me and find Read a Book, you're on page 8 of Google. You Googled my name and you went through a bunch of stuff. So this parent was trying to find, you know what I'm saying? And so, and I don't mind it. I don't mind the conversation and the questions. And it's like, but literally I've never, like, and because the Board of Education people were like, I don't even know what that is. Like, that's obviously Bomani. They played us the video. Then they played us the interview on BET. That is obviously the man that we brought in here, but nothing that we've interacted with him has ever been anything about that. And that must be something that he did as an artist. And they answered that whole question and then just told me about it later. And I was like, thank you. That teachers and educators had my back on that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I listened to some old Michael Bay's, some old interviews back then at that time, one of which was Michael Bay's in, and he was having folks call in. Yeah.
He was disappointed. He was so disappointed. He thought the people were gonna have his back.
But they were on your side. And this is so Read a Book, you gotta just look it up. I don't want to spend a lot of time explaining to motherfuckers what it is. But what I appreciated about it is all the people who were working with kids were calling in and saying, I think this is, I get it. So the feeling I got from those people calling in was, we're losing our children to a force that is bigger than anybody is really connected to if you're not in these classrooms with these kids. You obviously could feel it back then. What's going on in the classrooms, bro?
Honestly, we just need to, America needs to stop lying to itself about prioritizing children. America doesn't prioritize children. America prioritizes money. If we prioritize children, we would, when I become president, we're gonna double all the teachers' salaries and we're gonna cut all the class sizes in half. How we're gonna pay for it? We're gonna declare war on ignorance. When we declare war on stuff, we write blank checks and we don't audit. When we declare war on stuff, we just throw money. So we're gonna declare war on ignorance. Our schools really exist to give kids somewhere to be while their parents are at work. If you are fortunate enough and you've made it to a point in American society where you live in a middle class, upper middle class neighborhood to upper, then you can send your kids someplace where they really try to find their talents and their gifts and push them and help them matriculate through the system. If you make a certain income and below, it's really just a holding space. And the teachers there are trying. The teachers are the salt of the earth, but we don't spend enough money per student to really make an effect. And we operate a whole culture that's money first. And so there's a whole generation that's just clocking into school to just be caged away. I grew up in PG County. I'm in a space that's right where it's shifting from one to the other. You know what I'm saying? I had teachers who really cared, and I had parents who really cared, and I had classmates who really cared, and that affects everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you have 20 kids in the class and that's 40 parents, and if you have at least 30 of them, 25 of them care, that affects all of the kids.
All of them.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? And so as a culture, we're not in the space where we prioritize children. We say it all the time. We talk about protecting life and all the time, but we don't really prioritize. We don't really prioritize children. And so I'm fortunate where I am in my career is that I am brought into places where people really prioritize children. That's why they bring me in. They're like, look, we see something here. We understand the power of rhythm, rhyme, and repetition that you talk about when you're doing your speeches to teachers, and we want to use that with our kids because our kids, rhyme gets stuck in their head, repetition gets stuck in their head. How do we tap into that as a thing? You know what I'm saying? I was just at the University of Montana last week working with teachers in the education department trying to figure out how to tap into that power and use that power. You know, commercial entities know rhythm, rhyme, and repetition work. That's why they pump all this, how to be a better commercial, a cog in the commercial wheel. That you have to buy cars, you have to buy clothes, you have to be fresh, you have to be tight. It doesn't really matter if you learn anything, you just gotta make sure you're keeping up with the Joneses. And so there's no quick solution to it. It's a generational game. We have to my favorite quote from John Henry Clark, we must start projects our grandchildren will finish. And we have a problem. We meet students who have problems and we want to yell at their parents. But say, for instance, you said read a book was 20 years ago now, right? If I'm meeting a 7, 8-year-old who's having problems, their parent was 12, 20 years ago. And they have a negative interaction with education. They haven't, you know what I'm saying? And so to deal with that child, I can't just deal with that child. I got to deal with their parent. I got to deal with their grandparents. I got to deal with a community that for decades or for generations were like, the school system is the adversary. The school system told me I was dumb. The school system told me I needed to sit down and be quiet when all I wanted to do was move around a little bit. And we're like 3, 4, 5, 6 generations deep in that. And so I can't change that in one moment. You know what I'm saying? I got to figure out how to make a game plan that's generational so that we make a change in how we all think about our education.